I don't think I've ever told you this. My grandfather was into coin collecting, and you could buy the folding blue books.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you collect each year. So
I got a bunch of those.
Okay, Paul, I bet I have 25 to 30 quarters that are worth 25 cents a piece.
Really?
Really?
Well, that's good.
I got a 67.
Yeah,
I got
oh,
a
boy.
68.
The Breakfast Flakes podcast brought to you by the Blue Cat Bar and Grill, next to the Roadside Event Center in Huntley. The Blue Cat, it's where it's at.
525, Mark and Paul, printing, organizing, highlighting. Get ready for the broadcast day ahead. Weird Wednesday today. Last week of our Cash Cow contest, so we'll have codes at 8:20 and 9:20. And then again throughout the day. The frustration with the number of political ads is so bad. One of the TV stations even did a story on the frustration of so many political ads. And at the end of the story played so many political ads. Paul and I were talking about it. Would love if it wasn't like that. But if it was my radio station, I'd be cashing those checks too.
That's right.
So... only for another few weeks, and then we can go back to being nice to people that weren't actually born here, which is a major faux pas when you're running for office in Montana. You can't be born in another state. And the only time I ever hear about public lands is during elections.
Yeah. And I don't know any that have ever been sold.
No, because you can't.
You can't buy BLM land. I'd love to.
I know. You'd have a bunch of it.
Forest Service land, our national parks,
Right.
state park. You can't buy it.
I'm sitting there watching last night, and I'm kind of numb to it, and everything they're saying, the candidates saying the same things about each other, and this guy and that guy and this guy and that guy, and I've heard it all from everybody. And then I heard one last night that made me yell at the TV.
Uh-oh.
The gal that does the commercial for John Tester, who helped her buy an affordable home. Are you doing anything for those of us that have been paying our full share of property taxes for more than 30 years?
Yeah, they are.
What?
They're charging you to help pay for her home.
Exactly right. And mine went up 22% last year, and it's not like I redid the kitchen.
That's right. I've always said that. You got a 30-year-old house with 30-year-old shingles. The nails are poking out of the sheetrock. The plumbing shot. You need new wiring. The windows are drafty, and it's worth a fortune.
Mm-hmm. Some guy from the county drove by and said, you know what? Congratulations.
Yeah.
Your property taxes just went up significantly.
I think that dilapidated wrecked home on Broadwater with no shingles on it and a porch that is sunk into the ground because the ground settled, that is now worth $300,000 where you paid $30,000 for it.
Paul's been looking at investment properties on Broadwater Avenue.
Yes, I have.
You get the one right next to the Circle K Holiday Store.
Yep.
So you can just run get a coffee whenever you need it.
Implode the whole block. Yep. Crazy, isn't it?
It is. It is. Q2 did another story with the only political expert that they can get a hold of.
Was it Poop from MSUB?
Yeah. And, love him or hate him, nothing against the guy, but why don't you ever talk to more than one person? These guys always fail. There's only one financial advisor they talk to. There's only one tax guy they talk to, one political person. Branch out, talk to some others, get some different perspectives.
This paper and our news organizations are so biased. Mm-hmm. It's I don't know how you folks could follow them. Article today, the ballot initiatives aim to make elections more competitive. That's not why they put that ballot initiative in there. Mm-mm. That's not the reason at all. It's to give Democrats a better chance in a conservative state. Mm-hmm. That's all the reason why that's in there. Another article today, he eats steak. I mean, you people are relentless dumbasses. Uh-huh. By the way, I'm just a dumb farmer, but folks, been on the air since 1982. Mark and I both started our careers then. And I have followed politics somewhat closely over those 40 years. Mm-hmm. I would put up my knowledge of elections and politics against the guy from MSUB's who was taught by a political science professor somewhere on how to think. Mm-hmm. I was taught by God on how to think.
And you paid more property taxes than that guy has in his career.
No doubt in my mind.
Right.
No doubt in my mind.
Been working in this area longer than he has.
Yeah, but they're not going to ask me.
No.
They're not going to ask someone like me, or they're not going to. They're not going to ask somebody who works for the Republican Party here in Yellowstone County. They're not going to ask them what they think. Mm-mm. They're not going to carry the torch for them.
No, whoever they pick, it's still part of the narrative that they're trying to get to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Montana Senate candidate said his opponent was eating lobbyist steak while he was fighting in Afghanistan. But he had steak. He lobbied with steak. He was trying to drum up business for his firefighting, and which is a business meal. Mm-hmm. There's a little difference between somebody giving you $10 million for a campaign and you buying somebody dinner because you're telling them about your business and what they can offer in firefighting efforts around Montana.
To your point, which I thought was a good one last week, I've never seen any candidate or issue run as many commercials, radio, TV, social media, newspaper, as Jon Tester is running, and he doesn't do any fundraisers. None. And then blast the other guy for dark money.
Yeah. Tester never does a fundraiser. By the way, he has this little subtle. You can't fool me. Sure, I'm no political science professor from MSUB, but when Jon Tester debates, he wears a red tie. Mm-hmm. Red is Republican,
right?
So he wears a red tie while he's campaigning. You watch as soon as he gets back in Washington D.C.
Yeah,
what color his tie is.
Yeah. Well, Paul, it's because he's a Republican right now.
I know he is. But it's crazy.
Here's one that sadly is not going to be well attended. It's tonight. Members of the public are invited to attend a forum with candidates running for the Montana State Supreme Court. 6 o'clock tonight, Billings Hotel and Convention Center.
A forum? Mm-hmm. Who's leading that forum? Does it say?
Hosted by the Montana Farm Bureau and Yellowstone County Farm Bureau, focused on agriculture, rural issues. They sent out a questionnaire to the candidates, which is posted on the Farm Bureau's website.
A questionnaire. Mm-hmm. And how do you think they're going to answer? They're going to answer that totally different than the way they're going to rule from the bench. Mm-hmm. My God, all these people running for Democrat positions, folks, you would think they're Barry Goldwater.
Right now, yeah. All 4 nonpartisan candidates. I don't like that.
See, that was another one they got passed. It's the same thing with CI 26. Mm-hmm. See, it's the same thing. Vote for the 2 sons of Montana, folks. Swanson, Wilson.
Yep.
That's all you got to remember. Otherwise, you're going to have a liberal, progressive, dominated Montana Supreme Court that will never, ever rule anything conservatively ever. They'll have a 9-0 control of that court.
The event will begin with an hour-long meet and greet and then an hour of questions from the organizers, but it doesn't say specifically who they are.
By the way, just a little hint for somebody like at Q2 or as soon as the people get to nonstop local, as soon as they get to work this morning because they stop. I can guarantee you that if you promoted who was going to be on your show to give analysis of something, either Professor Pope from MSU or one of the Flakes, that more people would tune in to see what the Flakes would have to say.
100%.
No doubt in my mind.
Because your political guy, it doesn't matter who it is either. All the answers are going to sound very vanilla and very close to anybody else you would bring in. Mm-hmm. Not so much if you go in.
That's right. Because, see, feelings is one thing I'm not concerned about.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy. Ballot initiatives aim to make elections more competitive. That's all bull. It's to give their candidate a better chance. That's all there is to it. Mm-hmm. They can dilute the vote that way. Day before yesterday when I got home, I start my day after lunch every day, go down, open up the shed, start planning my project. I got to go in and feed the cats, my barn cats. And Monday I went in there and the lid had been pried up and off of my container that holds all the cat food. Uh-huh. I got about a 30, 40 gallon old like liquid container, like the big Gatorade containers that have the lids on and they have the spout on the bottom.
Right.
Well, I had an old one of those, but those lids fit so tight because, they don't want any of the liquid to spill when they're carrying it and stuff.
Right.
And so I went in there on Monday and the lid had been pried off.
God.
And I looked down on the dirt and there were coon tracks in there all over the place. And I said, you dirty dogs. And I just thought, you know what? I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. It was probably me. I probably didn't secure the lid tight enough.
Yeah.
And they probably just worked it off. So I got home yesterday, started my day like I do every day. Go down to the shed, open the doors up, get my project started. Got to feed the cats. I go in there. This time, the whole container was knocked down. They had somehow worked apart the tarp strap that holds it up against the wall.
Really?
Tipped it over on its side and pried the lid open and just it was like all-you-can-eat shrimp fest at Red Lobster.
Get ready for a spooktacular October at the Roadside Event Center. Friday, October 11th, join them for Bingo, a fundraiser for Pack the Place in Pink. Get tickets now for Dueling Pianos on Friday and Saturday, October 18th and 19th. And plan for a Halloween weekend filled with fun. The Blue Cat has fantastic food and drinks. Sushi and sliders on Sundays, Italian Night Mondays, prime rib Saturdays, and loaded Bloody Marys all weekend. The Blue Cat Bar and Grill, Northern Avenue in Huntley, just 9 miles east of the Metro Park exit.
So, you know what that did?
Tell me, Paul.
That made me mad.
You don't want to do that.
So I thought, well, once again, I'm going to have to show you who your daddy is.
Are you the daddy?
I didn't want to show him who your daddy is. So I cleaned everything up in there yesterday and set my trap. I thought, okay. And you know, raccoons are like little Democrats. Once they find a free meal and all you can eat, they'll continue to come back. I mean, and expect it.
Right.
So that's what I gave them.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Set my trap and I put a little morsel here and a little morsel here and I just led them right into the polling place. And I said, you know what? I said, I am so confident in my ability. Before I go to bed, I'm going to go down there. So I take the dogs out last night about 8:30, and I'm starting to walk down to the cabin barn, and I hear this thumping around in there, and I thought, the whole time I'm getting closer, I'm just yelling at him, who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? And I go in the shed, and there is a 400-pound coon in the trap trying to climb up the wall because I use a foot trap, you know. And I looked at him, and I said, well, Mr. Rodney the raccoon, I said, this is going to be your day. And he kind of looked at me like, gosh, Daddy, what do you mean? I said, because you're going to a place where there are rows and rows of sweet corn lined up in front of you with a cool stream right next to it with lots of straw to lay down at night.
God, that sounds wonderful.
Yes. So I relocated him, Mark, to a better place.
How nice.
Well, that's what I do.
Yeah.
Compassion is my middle name, Paul C. Mushaven. C for compassion. That's what it is. So I just left him there to send a message to all the other ones that may come in later during the night. That
it's kind of like leaving out a traveler brochure for Secrets Hockey Mall. If you'd like to go here, this is where you sign up.
Exactly. Okay. Same thing, Wilson. So I took care of that problem. And now, if I have to, I'll do it again. I don't want to. I'm hoping the message was sent loud and clear.
Please finish a sentence you taught me many years ago. If you got one raccoon, you got...
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yep.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Well, I know what Dwayne Gable quit doing corn for bringing it into town because the raccoons got so bad. He couldn't keep up with them.
These guys that chop corn and stuff like that for silage, you can go out to their silage piles at night and you'll find 30 of them running around up into the trees all over the place.
I suppose.
Fortunately, most of those guys have beets. So, if they eat too much and they need to buy feed, they just go down and trade one beet per 1 ton of feed, and then they're okay that way. But
it's good to be an irrigated guy.
It really is. But so if you're an animal activist and you're listening, just remember I did Rodney a favor, and I made sure he was in a better place where he will forever have rows of sweet corn in front of him. God, they make a mess. And they're just like going to the pizza ranch. They come in there and they eat and eat and eat, and then they got to crap right away. So I am not kidding you, Mark. They do.
I am aware that you're not kidding.
And then they
you're just saying what everybody knows when they go to pizza
right.
ranch.
And then they come. They got more room now. And then they come out and they eat more. That's exactly what they do. I am not lying. I've seen this 1,000 times in my barns. And anybody that has them, you know what I'm talking about. And instead of it being full of pepperoni, it's full of grain. Well, you want the truth? truth?
We're getting it.
That's right.
Also, I got to tell you, Farmer, going back a few years, there was a time where I never thought I'd hear you call yourself Daddy.
That's right. Yep. Talked to Maddie last night. No baby yet. However, I will tell you that there will be a baby by next Tuesday at 7 a.m.
No matter what.
No matter what.
Okay.
Yep. Well, depending on how long it takes, how long she's in labor, but they're not going to let her go past next Tuesday, and they already scheduled an appointment at 7 a.m. in case nothing happens. And I told her, I said, well, I have some oxytocin out there. I could give you 2 cc's of that. It'll get you moving right away. You know? And that's the same thing they use on women. They give them oxytocin to get them going and stuff like that. And
Yeah, they just put him in one of the lambing sheds out there.
that's all we do. Yeah. Gosh, here's your crate. But so nothing happening there yet. So this will be good. AP's top 25 people, places, races, and dates and things to know about the election. Okay. AP's top 25. Now, I can only imagine what propaganda is going to be in here. Donald Trump versus Kamala Harris. That's number one. It's said that every presidential election will make history, perhaps. But while some are destined to be included in the history books, others become subject of them. Listen to this. Will Americans choose to return Donald Trump to the White House, electing a former president for the first time, a person convicted of a felony to sit behind this desk? Listen to that. That's because of your crooked DOJ. By the way, that's on appeal, and that will be overturned. Or will voters decide on Kamala Harris that she ought to be the nation's first woman to take up office in the Oval Office? Yeah, a woman who did not get one vote. You see what they do here? Folks, just think of that for a moment. Just think of that. The President of the United States, no matter who it is, that is the most powerful, single, important person in the world. No doubt. The power, the economy, our military, the monetary power that we have, everything. And this woman did not get one person in the entire world to vote for her. Not one. Not one. Yesterday, she's talking about how she wouldn't have changed anything from the Biden administration, anything that he did. They accomplished so much. He did so much. He was so... Then why did you run him out?
Why did you cover for him?
Why was there a conspiracy behind closed doors to run him out and pick? That's what they did. They picked. They didn't like him. He had a bad debate. So they ran him out, colluded, and picked her, and she didn't even have to win. If I was a Democrat that had inklings about running or not, I'd be pissed because she didn't have to run a campaign. She didn't have to run a primer. She didn't have to do anything, and they picked her. You know, that's how they did Hitler. Everybody's always causing Trump Hitler. They picked him to run their country, like Kamala Harris. And they go on to all these other close races around here. It's just a joke. Sometimes Associated Press rules that a race is just too close to call. You bet. They work with these places to give them more time, to carry the narrative. They're setting it up because people rely on the news stations and organizations. Okay, it's too close. Well, that sends a message to everybody that it could go either way. That's what they want.
It is. They should do away with the polls.
They should.
They take one poll on election day. That's the one that counts.
When they're counted. That's it. That's it. Here's another one today. Look what they're setting up already. Here's another one, headline from AP today. Not everything will run perfectly on Election Day.
Oh, we already know that.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Despite all the laws and rules governing on how they should run, elections can sometimes appear to be messy. Inevitable problems on Election Day will invariably be the result of human error, technical glitches. But see, states that do it well, they don't have any problem, do they?
No.
They want glitches and they want problems. That's what they want.
Talking to you, Missoula County. Go ahead and go home at midnight on
That's
election
right.
night.
We're going to stop counting. I've just decided to make my own election rule now, like Governor Bullock. Mail out ballots for everybody in the state this time. I'm running. We never had that problem years ago, folks. Never. All the ballots, we had one day, one election day. We had all the ballots were hand counted, and by the next morning, in every state, in every precinct, all across America, we knew the winners.
Yeah, we did.
Not anymore. We extend voting hours. We do all kinds of things now. Things will go wrong, according to Jen Easterly, Director of Cybersecurity in our country. None of these mean the election's being tainted or rigged. Oh, yeah? Wasn't long ago when American voters accepted the results. The internet makes false claims, makes the public susceptible to conspiratorial theories.
Well, it's never conspiratorial when your guy wins.
That's right. Distrust in elections is real and has serious consequences. Lies about the 2020 election were catalyst for it. Now, wait a minute. What about Al Gore? What about him? He contested the results of the elections, tried to overturn the results. What about John Kerry? Contested the election, tried to overturn the results. What about when Donald Trump beat Hillary Clinton? She contested the election, tried to overturn the results. Not only that, paid $9 million for a phony story to try to rig it. Said it was Russian involvement. Nope.
Get ready for a spooktacular October at the Roadside Event Center. Friday, October 11th, join them for Bingo, a fundraiser for Pack the Place in Pink. Get tickets now for Dueling Pianos on Friday and Saturday, October 18th and 19th. And plan for a Halloween weekend filled with fun. The Blue Cat has fantastic food and drinks. Sushi and sliders on Sundays, Italian Night Mondays, prime rib Saturdays, and loaded Bloody Marys all weekend. The Blue Cat Bar and Grill, Northern Avenue in Huntley, just 9 miles east of the Metro Park exit.
So anyway, the best things to do, folks, is to get out early and vote early as you can, because you can't trust what is going to happen on Election Day.
That's right.
If you get your ballot, I think you're going to get it at the end of this week. I think they come out like the 12th. Fill it out, send it in immediately. The fewer people we have at the polls and the fewer and less confusion that we have on Election Day, the better off we are. How come some states can do it well and others can't? Isn't that funny? Florida, here's another AP story. Florida has nearly all the ballots counted on Election Day. That's before midnight. Florida is a big state.
Yes, it is.
They have a lot of people down there. It's one of the top states in the nation, behind probably New York, Texas, California. Florida reports
Over 22 million people.
Florida reports their full election results on Election Day. It took California weeks to finish their counting. Weeks. Why? Well, you have to read everything, and I'm not going to say it. We know why. The Constitution sets out the principles for electing a national government and leaves the details to the states. The choice is made by the state lawmakers and election officials determines it. And that's right. The legislatures determine all the election laws and rules. That's how it should be. Not the governors, not the gal who's running the office in Missoula who's counting and decides we don't have to count them now. We can count them tomorrow at 7:30 when everybody gets a good night's rest. You don't get to make those laws. California is sought to maximize voter accessibility and participation. Florida has geared their system towards quick and efficient tabulation of the results. See, everybody in Florida knows where you go to vote, what time the polls close, or how to get an absentee ballot. They count them, and it's tabulated. Not California. California, they extend voting hours, days, weekends. That California extends then how long the post office can accept ballots, because, you know, they're tabulating the whole time, and I'm sure none of that information about who's leading and who's losing gets out.
All right.
Well, we're going to need another 2 weeks. You believe this, folks? California is the nation's most populous state, is consistently the slowest to report their election results. Florida is the third most populous state, so I missed it. I thought they were fourth, but they're third. And they are almost always the first ones to finish.
Shocking.
Lawmakers in California, they designed their elections to improve accessibility in order to increase turnout. And it gives themselves several days to address any problems that may arise with their ballot. Democrat Mark Berman said, our priority is to maximize participation. Many of their ballots require verification steps. The only verification in California they don't use is identification. That's the one that they won't use. In recent years, thousands of California people drop off their ballots in special collection boxes at night. That's when I like to vote. I like to vote at 2 a.m. in the morning, the night of the election, and go to the box and drop off my ballot. That's what I like to do. Their law says any ballots then that arrive within 3 days of the election are considered cast in time. Yes, that's California. So, dang, we're down 10,000. We got to get some more ballots in. This doesn't open up the door for any wrongdoing, does it, folks? California can be counting ballots through the week. They set Florida's election laws. They made sure theirs were solid back in 2001 with the Florida Election Reform Act. They have ballot scanners and screeners from both parties at every precinct. Everything. Florida's deadlines were set to avoid having ballots arrive any later than on election day. Florida takes steps to avoid back and forth problematic ballots. Any voter who returned a ballot with a missed match or a missing signature has until 5 o'clock 2 days after the election to submit it or fix it. California gives voters 1 month after the election to fix any problems they feel may have been on their ballot.
This is just criminal.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And look what AP said in the headlines, where there virtually is no problem on election day. That's just California. 1 month. Now, the thing about California is where that comes into play most likely is in their House races and their Senate races, because California is going to go Democrat all the time. So you can take a month if you want. They know where their electoral votes are going.
Right.
So, but still, one set of rules, folks. That's what we need on election day. And then the states set up their own parameters for that day. I went over months ago why Election Day was on a Tuesday, and that should be changed. We no longer have to get our goats to market like they still do north of town. Wednesday wasn't the big farmers market around the municipalities in the country. People didn't have to get on their horse and wagons and travel a day to go vote and couldn't do it. All that stuff is now gone. It's all gone. They should have it on a Saturday. More poll workers. Most Americans are off that day. They could have more precincts open because they would have more volunteers than that day.
Right.
I mean, it only makes sense. I am not for making Election Day a national holiday. None. Zero. Hannity and all these guys are. They're nuts. They're crazy. That's stupid. Voting is a duty. It's your obligation as a citizen. Plus, that will only favor the little 40-year-old dweebs that are living in their mom's basement, because if they have to work that day, there's no way they're going to, after work at 5 o'clock, go stand in line at a polling place.
No.
Well, conservative, card-carrying Americans who love their country, they will.
Right.
They will. But that's why we have problems. You just heard the difference just between Florida and California. And Montana, with our Senate race being so heated and contested right now, I don't want the county election supervisor in Missoula stopping the counting. I don't want her stopping that. I don't want anybody leaving and coming back. I don't want them leaving and coming back. Hell, you can't do that at a high school prom. Once you leave, You're not allowed to come back in.
That's true.
You could do it in our elections, though.
That and Grizz football games.
Grizz football games, yeah, yeah. But my poll workers, I can tell they're getting tired. We should just stop this process, and then we'll pick it up at 7:30 in the morning. No, one night you have to work. One night. They could have finished in another, who knows, hour,
Right.
2 hours. That's it. You work till the job's done. I wish that woman would have heart surgery, and they're working on her, and it's 5 o'clock. I wish the heart surgeon would say to the county supervisor there in Missoula, well, it's 5 o'clock. My people, we've been standing around this table working on you for 6 hours. You know, you're the third one we've done today. We're kind of tired.
Right.
We're going to leave you sit here, and then we'll come back tomorrow morning at 7:30. They can do it. FedEx people, UPS drivers that are out there, Mark, during the holidays. How many of you have had one of them show up on your front porch at 8 or 9 o'clock at night and drop off a package?
Because they work till they're done.
Nope, not during elections, we don't. Shut her down, and then come back the next day. Yeah. I'm hoping that we have all of our safeguards in place. I know because of that, that people are going to be more vigilant, and the security, the people at the polling places, precincts. Remember the one last election? I know you folks saw the video because I saw it at one of the contested states that could have swung the election. One of the precincts, they kicked everybody out, and with paper, they covered up all of the windows. They covered them all up so people couldn't look in and see the people counting. They covered them all up, kicked them out, and covered the windows so nobody could observe. Covered it all up. Why would you do that? Who made that decision? So, but fear not, folks. AP said there'll be virtually no problems, and that you hear all these stories like this. I think Donald Trump had the best line for any candidate, really. Doesn't matter what side of the ticket you're on. When it comes to your victory, you want to make it too big to rig.
Right.
That's what you want. They're worried about Donald Trump. Donald Trump went through the process. Donald Trump was indicted. He was impeached. He was prosecuted. They tried to break him. They tried to get him off the ballots in 6 states. Remember that? The Supreme Court said, you losers, you can't rig an election like that. You can't do that. They put him back on. He had to win all of his primaries. He had to go to the convention. He had to get all of the votes to support him. He was the candidate. They still tried. They opened up new cases against him. The Supreme Court went back, said, you can't prosecute a sitting president for that. You can't do that. They did. They just filed another one last week. Some crooked-ass judge found him guilty. No matter, wasn't even allowed to present evidence on his side. Still did it. He went through the process. He had to go through the primaries. People had to vote for him. And look at theirs. They had a sitting president who got 14 million votes. They threw him out. We don't like him. They didn't do another primary. They didn't let anybody else in the race that would have been interested in running on the Democratic ticket. They just chose this woman to do it, and that's it. They got KTVQ. They've got the Billings Gazette. They've got the station that's not on yet, nonstop. They've got them all supporting her, all carrying the torch, and they didn't even get to vote. So you wonder why people are skeptics when it comes to the purity in our elections. That's the reason why. Like this lifelong Republican that's doing ads for John Tester. He tried to impeach her guy twice. I'd love to talk to her. She's 29. But one thing about it, they could go to Professor what's-his-name up there at MSUB. They can ask him, because he was a professor, and he was taught. I told you about the professors at the University of Montana School of Journalism, folks. Oh, my God. I could tell. Trump's already behind 20-0 there with that group. No doubt about it. I know out in Hay Basin in my precinct, he's going to carry that one. I know that one for sure. Yeah, that's for sure. But I think you folks will be getting your ballots this week. So, and keep in mind, if you moved here, you started a family here, you were transferred here for a job, you love Montana, you started raising a family, you had 2 beautiful children born here, they're in our schools. Remember, they don't like you and you don't belong here.
You forgot the $2 million donation to the hospital in Bozeman for the infants.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. You don't belong here. You have to be born here. Even though John Tester's ancestors protesters were not.
Yeah.
Or you are not welcome. Democrats do not welcome you here. We got a problem in Montana. We can't find enough school teachers. Well, we don't want ones coming in from out of state. You're not welcome here. You weren't born here. You're not allowed here to start a business or a farm or anything. You're not welcome here. None. Zero. Democrats, and they all admit it, just listen to their commercials. They don't want you here. They don't want you here. And yet at the colleges and universities, the people they pick to indoctrinate your kids, they all come from somewhere else.
Yeah, just political office. That's the only one.
Yep, that's right. All right, folks, fill them out, get them in. But CI 120, vote no for all of them. What the hell? Does anybody think in this country we need more laws, more rules?
No.
We got plenty.
Yes.
We need less.
I agree.
We need less government, less bureaucracy. We need less agencies. We need less laws. They need far less money. We need less, not more. That's one of the big differences. And I had something else here I wrote down to remind me to talk about today from yesterday, and we didn't get to it, so I'll have to save it for tomorrow. About all this old crap that we're saving around our houses and what happens to it because we don't have any inclination to sell any of it. And you look at it and you think you're going to give it to somebody, and what the hell are they going to do with it? But you just can't sell it. You know, I got sports memorabilia and things like that, and cards and coins and old antiques, and well, I'm not going to sell. I think one of the reasons is because I don't think any of us can trust anybody that you would take that to treat you fairly. I think that's a lot of it anymore.
You and I talk. I'm talking about downsizing. I'm not doing a rummage sale. I'm giving stuff.
Yeah.
It's the only way you're going to get rid of it. Find somebody that needs it worse than you.
Yeah, that's what I did with my house in Bozeman.
Yeah.
But, so we all do that. We all keep it. Oh, this painting is, we all, and then what? And you're dead. You're in the ground. And what are they going to do with it? Do they keep it forever? We're all guilty of that. We got crap laying around, memorabilia, stuff like that.
Okay, well, I look forward to talking about that tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. Well, I got a lot more on that. Later. I got a whole list of stuff there to talk about.
First news coming up, 6:16.
The Breakfast Flakes podcast brought to you by the Blue Cat Bar and Grill, next to the Roadside Event Center in Huntley. The Blue Cat, it's where it's at.